This is the Fantasy Football 411 podcast. The best place to get the latest 411 on your fantasy football team. Here are your hosts, Alex and Amanda.
This is another episode of the Fantasy Football 411 podcast. This is the best place to get the latest 411 for your fantasy football team. We are your hosts. I'm Alex.
And I'm Amanda.
And in this episode, as usual, we're going to get into the latest 411, give you some of the best waiver picks for Week 14, and then we're going to get into the over-unders for the Week 14 matchups. That being said, here it is, the latest 411. Now, quickly, before we get into anything specific here, I had a 50-50 week in the league I thought I wasn't going to do well in. I ended up winning. I'm still kind of in the running there. If certain people lose, I'm probably out. But I think I might have a chance in that league. The other league, I should be good if I win next week. I just have to win Week 14. Hopefully it works out. What about you?
Oh, are you talking about the playoffs?
I'm talking about...
You said next week if you win.
Oh, true. Next week is the playoffs, right? Or no, 2 weeks from now is the playoffs. But you're still in both leagues.
In the playoffs?
In the
winning this week?
In the running.
Okay.
Yeah,
yes.
Right, in the running. Okay. So, and you won in one league or?
As long as Singletary doesn't get 22 points tonight, I should be able to win.
You need him to, don't you? Or no. I see what you mean. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, so I think you're safe because I'd be shocked if he gets 22 points on the Patriots, especially on the Bills offense. I actually texted somebody earlier and said that this is the only time I'm ever going to root for the Bills against the Patriots because I'd rather have the Bills lead that division than the Patriots. Obviously, we're recording this before that game, so if we don't mention anything about that game, that's why. But let's get into some fun stats. Quarterback Tom Brady threw for 38 for 51 for 368 yards and 4 touchdowns with 1 interception. I mean, if you throw for 368 yards, I think you're allowed to throw 1 interception there.
Yeah, dang. Kirk Cousins, he threw 30 for 40 for 340 and 2 touchdowns.
Running back Jonathan Taylor rushed 32 for 143 for 2 touchdowns and 1 fumble. I'm including that 1 fumble in there because I'm playing the Jonathan Taylor owner in the league that I'm actually doing okay in this week, and he's on bye. So I think I'm safe or better off without Jonathan Taylor in there. Definitely a player in the beginning of the season that I knew was going to be good, but you couldn't really draft him at the 2 or 3 position in the draft. Now on you can, but it was tough to do this season, but now you see why you could have.
Running back Sony Michelle rushed 24 for 121 and 1 touchdown.
Wide receiver Justin Jefferson received 11 for 182 and 1 touchdown.
Tight end George Kittle received 9 for 181 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, so the 2 I will point out, Sony Michelle obviously only had that game because of Darrell Henderson's injury. But and George Kittle, same type of situation without Deebo Samuel in there. He was able to get like 39 fantasy points on a week where I had him, but didn't matter because I lost by so much. Let's get into some injuries. Go. You could start this one.
So wide receiver Allen Robinson did not play this week due to his hamstring injury.
And then the few of these that you're going to hear, the next few are going to be, they didn't play because of this. You know, if you didn't already know, might have been something we didn't announce on last episode last week. But the second one is quarterback Jalen Hurts didn't play due to his ankle injury.
And Daniel Jones didn't play due to his neck injury.
DeAndre Swift missed Week 13's matchup against the Vikings due to a shoulder injury after leaving in Week 12's game early, which helped out Jamal Williams. I think he had a decent week.
Mm-hmm. I thought he was going to do better, but...
Right.
Melvin Gordon missed Week 13 due to his hip and shoulder injury.
Which Javonte Williams saw the benefit of that.
Yeah.
Which next week they're playing the Lions, I believe. So hopefully Melvin Gordon just decides to rest another week. Because Javonte Williams I have in one league. J.D. McKissick's concussion ruled him out for week 13. Should be okay for week 14 with a concussion, but I mean, Antonio Gibson's looking pretty good there without him. So
Taysom Hill received a finger injury.
Received. I put picked up on purpose.
He got a finger injury
There you
and
go.
may miss some time.
Yeah, that was the one I saw. He dislocated it. Looked kind of ugly. We'll see. I mean, I don't think taping's going to do anything. So, yeah, he could miss time. Wide receiver Corey Davis suffered a groin injury and may miss a week or two as well.
Oh, this one hurt me. Adam Thielen is expected to miss 2 to 3 weeks with his high ankle sprain.
And I believe it's a grade 1, so you're looking at more like 3 weeks. But quarterback Joe Burrow dislocated his pinky. Saw that one too. That was bad. That was actually worse, I think, than Taysom's, but I could be wrong. He could miss some time, but currently he's optimistic to play week 14. But one thing we heard earlier, he needs a glove if he's going to try to do that. If he tries to just tape it up, it's not going to work because the football just doesn't get thrown the right way when you just tape it up instead of using a glove. Another one worth noting here, I didn't put here, running back Kenyan Drake broke his ankle, and it might be either his foot or his ankle. He's out for the rest of the season, so Josh Jacobs is the running back 1 for Vegas moving forward.
Yeah, and running back Jeff Wilson left with an undisclosed injury, and I just checked, and there's no updates on what his injury is.
So stay tuned on that. And the final one is quarterback Tyrod Taylor tore ligaments in his left wrist, unsure if and how long he'll be out. Not looking good for any Houston Texan because for as long as he's out, you have Davis Mills in there, and that's not really doing you any favors. Not that Tyrod did you any favors this week anyways. I mean, they got shut out, but it's an ugly situation. I mean, if you're rostering a Houston Texan and you still don't, if the trade deadline doesn't exist in your league, you might be able to get rid of Brandon Cooks, but otherwise you might have to bench him moving forward. One that's not on here that I just noticed, actually, tight end Logan Thomas on the Washington football team was feared to have torn his ACL. Turns out MRI today was optimistic that he didn't, but it's still a significant injury. I'm probably going to drop him in my league, but it's worth noting, especially because there's only a few more weeks left, that you're probably not going to want to stash him right now. It seems like he's injury prone and fragile, but that's the latest of the injuries in the latest 411. Let's get into some waivers.
So first up in Who's Cold, we got running back Kenneth Gainwell from the Eagles. It's just a messy backfield, even with Miles Sanders missing a game with his re-aggravated injury after their bye week in week 14. Boston Scott didn't play due to an illness, so he will be back into a messy mix as well.
Yeah, not looking good. Running back Tevin Coleman is another one. Seems to be the RB1 through the past 2 games for the Jets, although I still believe it is due to game script. Ty Johnson is the more talented PPR back and should still be on anyone's radar. So if you need a short-time rental or something, or you want to take a chance on Tevin Coleman, have at it. But I just don't think it's going to be consistent moving forward. Who's hot?
Tight end Gallus.
Gallus Goddard.
Y'all. Tight end Dallas Goddard. He averaged about 5 targets a game, and with some decent matchups after this week 14 bye, Goddard should be a tight end 1 rest of season.
You know what? I'm actually targeting him. He might not be on your waivers. He's actually owned in a lot of leagues, but I kept him here because he's on our waivers, and he's actually on certain people's waivers. I'm dropping Logan Thomas for him. I think he's a great, the thing that's getting me is the fact that Gardner Minshew was quarterback this past week. So it's like, okay, yeah, but does he have that same chemistry with Jalen Hurts? Because if you look at the past few games, it didn't really look like it. Like, his numbers weren't as high as 28 points of what he got with Gardner. So I'm curious to see how that's going to be, but it does seem like the game plan is kind of like utilizing him as much as possible. So hopefully that's going to be the same moving forward. Jalen Hurts, I'm going for him. I suggest you do as well. That's why he's here. Wide receiver KJ Osborne is another one. Now with Thielen out for a few weeks, there's going to be somebody else in the mix. Justin Jefferson can't catch everything as much as he probably thinks so. Very talented, but they need another target there, and that's KJ Osborne, who also did get red zone looks. Even with Thielen in, he was getting the targets, and he should be a decent wide receiver for the next 2 weeks or a few weeks, if it's 3 weeks, in the wide receiver 2 range. Not a crazy waiver week. There was a lot of injuries, but it's just certain things like Eagles have a messy backfield, so you're not really going for any of them, even if Boston Scott's out and Miles Sanders are out. So, pick wisely, choose wisely. You might have people on your waiver wire that we didn't say here, but the reason why we didn't say it is because they're probably owned in most other leagues. So if they're there and you have a strong feeling about them, go for them, but these are just our choices. Now, let's get into the Week 14 matchups. You're not supposed to pre-read.
Per my notes here, it says there's a reason Alex's parents named him Alexander the Great.
After Alexander the Great.
Oh, sorry. He smoked me in Week 13's over and unders 6-2.
Wow. That was like a compliment.
I did not mean it. Okay. I always win those over and unders, and the one time
I smoked ya.
You win.
I smoked ya.
Ugh. Anywho, Week 14 buys, y'all. We got the Colts, the Dolphins, the Patriots, and the Eagles.
And the first game on the docket for Thursday Night Football is the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Minnesota Vikings. I am taking the under on this one just because division rivals. I think the Vikings have the talent, obviously run up the score, but I feel like it's a short week. They need some time to rest. Vikings are coming off of a loss to the Lions.
Yeah, I'm going to take the over on this one.
Are you?
So Cowboys at Washington Football Team with a 48.5 over and under. We both went over.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be a competitive matchup. Both are going to ball out. Seattle Seahawks at the Houston Texans, over and under 43.5. I went under on this just because Texans aren't really a team right now. They're not putting up any points. It's totally going to be one-sided in my opinion, and all the points are going to come from the Seahawks.
Yeah, I went over, but I could definitely see this one going under. I just think this could be Russell's kind of get back game.
Comeback game.
Get back. The Las Vegas Raiders at Kansas City Chiefs with a 51.5 over and under, and we both took the over.
Talking about a comeback game, I think this could be Mahomes, and I think he could put up more than 13 points. I think he could put up, this might be the game where they're actually airing it out and being the Chiefs that we once knew. That's my projection. I think it's bound to happen at some point this season, and now's the time. Why not? Mm-hmm. The New Orleans Saints at the New York Jets, over and under is 43.5. I'm going over on this just because I liked how the Jets looked this past week. They made less mistakes than they did the week prior. They're playing the Saints, who have a good defense, but the offense isn't that great. So I could say, especially if Kamara's still out. If Kamara plays, then it might look a little rough, but especially depending on who's at QB for the Saints. But I think it's going to be a good game. I'm hoping the Jets win this one, and I think the score is going to be, just below 43.5. Or, my bad, just over 43.5. What did you do on that one?
Oh, I took the under just because.
No faith.
Just because. No, 43. I don't know. I don't see it getting that high. So the Falcons at the Panthers with a 43.5 over and under, and I took the over.
Yeah, I went under on that.
But I also can see this going under because of the Panthers defense.
Well, the only reason I went under on it was just because of Cam Newton's play. Like, if he's going to be the QB and he's going to be like a ball hog and not hand it off or anything like he didn't do last week, I think Falcons easily take this one. I could totally see this game going over and have it be competitive on both sides if Cam decides not to be a ball hog and accurate passing the ball. But I'm going to go under on that. You're going over?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. New York Giants at Los Angeles Chargers, 45.5 over under. I'm going under on this just because who knows what's going on with Daniel Jones's neck during this, by Sunday. And also, hypothetically, even if Daniel Jones plays, I feel like Chargers defense showed up this past week. And I feel like they're going to do it again against the Giants. Giants have a decent defense, but I feel like Justin Herbert versus the Giants defense isn't really, I don't think they're going to shut Justin Herbert down. So I think it's going to be under, but I think that the Chargers take this one. I just don't think it's going to be a high score. What about you?
I took the over. I think the Chargers could easily just keep this game going, but who's the Giants' backup? Is it Gollum?
Glennon.
Gollum.
Yeah, their backup is Gollum. Oh, jeez. So, yeah, Mike Glennon, and he's not that great.
Yeah.
So I think the Chargers will run all over them if he's in there. Sorry, Mike Glennon.
Mike Gollum.
Gollum.
The Lions at the Broncos with a 43.5 over and under. Yeah, I took the under on that.
Makes sense. I mean, most people would take the under on that, I would think. The only reason I'm taking the over on it is because the Lions showed up.
Oh, I thought you were going to say...
What?
What do you always call these games?
Oh, trap game.
Yeah.
No, this is like the opposite. This would be like the game where it's like obvious, But like, I guess it could still be considered a trap game. But for me, they showed up against the Vikings. Like, I feel like Goff played a good game. Amon-Ra St. Brown is on a high right now. If the Broncos cornerbacks don't shut them down, then it's going to be a good shootout game back and forth, I think. But I could totally see the under on this as well. San Francisco 49ers at the Cincinnati Bengals. Over-under on this is 47.5. We both took the under. I think it's going to be a competitive game, but I just don't see the score going that high.
And then we have the Bills at the Bucks with the 52.5 over and under, and we both took the over.
Yeah, 52.5 is a high number. So rarely am I ever going to take the over on that. But this is one team that airs the ball out versus another team that has like an infinite amount of weapons to use. So 52.5 seems like a number that they could easily get over if they're playing to their full potential. So I hope we're right on this, but I could totally see this being a trap game and being under. Why that one?
I don't know. It's just the easiest one for me to hit.
Hey, whatever. I'll take it. Chicago Bears at the Green Bay Packers, 44.5 over under. I'm taking the under on this just because they are division rivals. I think it's going to be competitive, but Bears offense doesn't look pretty unless you're David Montgomery. So, yes, he'll put some points on the board, but if they're going to air the ball out at all, I think the Green Bay defense can shut them down, keep the score low, but still win the game.
Yeah, I agree. I hit over because I was in a rush, but yes, I agree with the under on that one.
So you're taking the under.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But you can leave it in there in case it does come to be an over, and then I would win.
All right, fine, because it's probably going to be under, so I'll win.
Monday Night Football, we have the Los Angeles Rams at the Cardinals with a 51.5 over and under, and I took the over.
Yeah, I'm going under on that. I think that's a trap game. I think we'll just hit a different one every time. But I think...
that's a long laugh.
Stop laughing at me.
Wow.
So
intense. Wow, they're still going. Okay, we're good.
So anyways, the Rams obviously have the potential. Cardinals have the potential to go over 51.5, like I said about the Bills game. But difference is Monday Night Football. Usually your expectations aren't exceeded on Monday night. Usually it's the opposite. I've seen trap games happen often on Monday night. I'm banking on this being one. Going under on this.
I'm excited for this game.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Good one.
Yeah. Yep.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that's it for the week 14 matchups. I hope we are able to help you one way or another. This episode
is brought to you by...
Please follow us on any of the social media platforms at fanfootball411. Hit us up at fanfootball411@gmail.com if you have any questions or you'd like any fantasy advice. We hope that we were able to help you in one way or another. Season's almost ending, so please go follow us where you're listening to us. Subscribe on YouTube. Thank you for tuning in.